Harrison, just for you guys to step up in that moment with Fox out of action, just how big was that for you guys to have that moment against a team and such a huge moment for you guys?
I mean, it was big. I think coming in at halftime, coach just said it plain. Like, if we decide to show any type of physicality, get any type of stops, we have a chance to come back in this game. But if not, we're going to get blown out. So, I was proud of the group for responding the way we did. Just coming up with, possessions, making shots, just making things happen out there.
HB, I know you had missed those 2 free throws. How nice was it to have that opportunity again later in the game to kind of seal it?
Yeah, I mean, those are plays like those. You obviously wish you had them back, but and a layup too. But we just keep playing. Like I said, just proud of our guys, just continuing to find different ways to win and put ourselves in position to have opportunities where, and that's not the last thing I'll remember tonight.
Yeah, HB, the difference, what do you see as the difference defensively in that first and second half, specifically when it comes to defending Phoenix's backcourt?
I think just ball pressure, physicality, but then everyone just being on a string. I felt like in the first half, everybody was able to have a field day. Whether it wasn't just Chris Paul and Devin Booker, it was Lawndale, it was Torrey Craig, it was McCogie. So I think coming in the second half, us able to get into our coverages. You have Davion, you have Kessler, you have Keegan, applying pressure, everyone behind them, supporting them, and then we're just tighter with rotations.
Harrison, you've experienced this crowd for a while now, but during that run, the volume level in the Golden One Center and that atmosphere, can you speak on that and how much of an impact that had on energizing that run?
It was huge. I mean, I think every single night, we have some of the best fans in the league, and they're waiting to get involved in the game. I think we do ourselves a disservice, especially at home, by taking the air out of the arena, with our play. So I thought definitely in the second half we gave them something to cheer for, and then in return they gave us something to go harder for. So it was great.
HB, how was it having Kevin back after those 3 games he missed, especially in that third quarter with those 16 points he scored?
I mean, he looked fresh. I mean, we've been saying that for a while. I mean, the guy's just, it was good to see him out there. He's been working really hard, and I think the biggest thing with this team is, we hate not being in the flow. So I think for him, he was just chomping at the bit to get back. Obviously made a huge impact for us and played great.
HB, what's the level of concern seeing Fox go out of this game and knowing that you're down the stretch here, how much you guys might need him?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, he's a professional. He's going to get treatment around the clock. So whether it's tomorrow, the next day, or whatever it may be, we're confident that he'll be back. But we're also confident in the guys that we have. We know that Davion will have a bigger role. He'll step up with that. And, Malik and Kevin, will handle those ball handling responsibilities.
Harrison, what's the talk in the locker room among you guys, this last stretch of games?
Really, I mean, coming into tonight, just, the last 10, Russ trying to put together games where we're getting ready for the playoffs, knowing that we're going to take that next step, the 50-50 basketballs, taking charges, coming up with deflections, all those little things. I think, we're having to take that next step as a team. I think, guys are excited about that.
How much did it matter to you to split this season series for you and your team?
It was big. I think sometimes, the psyche of a team, you start looking at, teams that have been to the finals, top teams in the league, whatever it may be, and how you're faring against them. So, I think for us, just anytime you're playing a team that has had playoff success, a team that has been where you're trying to go, it's important. And with whoever's playing, for us to, win the series.
Harrison, you've been here a while and been through a lot. What's it like for you personally to kind of go through those lows and now to be a part of what you guys are building here right now?
Man, it's a lot. I think what really puts into perspective is when you go outside the arena, when you talk to fans who have been supporting the Kings for a very long time, and just to see the genuine appreciation, the excitement that they have for where we're at. Younger Kings fans who've only known losing, to be in this situation. And, I think we have an opportunity to do something special, though, for me, who's, been here almost 5 years now. We've had our fair share of losing, but I think it's nice to be a part of something where you turn the corner, you have an opportunity to do something special, and you're with guys that have been in that situation with you.
Kevin, we talked before the game maybe that you might have fresh legs. You sort of looked like you had fresh legs, especially there in the third quarter. Just how good did it feel to see the ball go in and you guys have such a, get the crowd involved and everything?
Yeah, the crowd is huge. That third quarter was big. It started, we got stops, allowed us to get out in transition. And it was set in the air. It just felt like, that first half, the energy just kind of felt weird. Like that first quarter, a little bit of that second quarter, we were playing their game. We were playing a little too slow. It was a half-court game. Couldn't really get offensively. We couldn't get going. And so we had to pick up the pace, continue to try to move the ball, look for better looks.
How did you feel coming back? Obviously, kind of the results kind of spoke for itself with you, but did you think you would be able to have this type of performance coming back off that injury?
Yeah, I'm always confident. I felt good. To start the game, it didn't start off great. Just getting back into a rhythm. I think I airballed a layup, early in that either first or second quarter, and just try to stick with it. Domas was talking to me over the course of the game, just continuously trying to stay aggressive, and got hot in that third quarter.
Kevin, first off, what felt better, the block or the transition three on the end of it?
Transition three to kind of seal the deal, for sure.
You already mentioned the crowd a little bit, but when you're going on a run like that and the energy level, the volume's getting to that level, how much of an impact does that have on continuing a run in basketball?
It is. It's huge. You can use the crowd as a weapon, especially when you're on a run like that. The building gets going. Other teams might tighten up. So you try to keep that momentum going, and we did that third. It just felt like it was a continuous run. I'm not sure what the breakdown was, but we went from down 12 to up 10, and a lot of that felt like it all happened at once. So they're huge in that span.
When De'Aaron goes down there, and he's usually your closer in these close games, what did it mean to you to see Harrison step up in the way that he did there?
Yeah, we were looking for matchups. I didn't know Fox went out, and he came out for his regular thing in the third quarter and didn't realize he was out of the game. And they tried to go small there at the end of the game. We had to exploit matchups. We felt like we had good matchups with Domas, getting him in the post, and with HB, and just forcing them to double and allowing other guys to get going.
Kevin, you was out for about 3 games, though, but that third quarter, it seems like you were a man who was really anxious to get back out on the floor. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's no fun being out. Rehab sucks. The rehab is you show up to the arena and you're lifting and you're watching your team play and you just want to be out there. And so for me, it was great to get back out, continuously get back into game shape. Every game here down the stretch, and especially tonight with where both of our teams were in the standings. This was a big one we had to get. Evens our season series, and every game is important. So just trying to be out there with the rest of the guys.
Hey, Kevin. Coach Brown has talked about how you're more than just a shooter. I know you've also said that throughout the season. I mean, tonight, obviously, you had a team high 29 points, but you're filling up the stat sheet, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Has that been kind of a point of emphasis for you to prove this season?
Yeah, definitely. There were, Mike he's on all of us, especially myself, to continuously try to rebound. We're so good when we're able to get out and transition, but we have to get stops. We have to get out and run. And there's definitely been games this year haven't been great rebounding the ball, and it's definitely an emphasis. And Mike is preaching on everybody to continuously try to rebound. And play-wise, it kind of kept calling my number there in the third quarter. I was able to continuously try to make plays and just trying to play unselfish. Perfect.
So you're not one of the ones that's going through this little phase.
No, I'm like, okay, I'll take it again. Very good team in our group, like LeBron was 15. I started when I was like 5.
Small time.
They're trying to,
That's crazy. I can imagine.
I had 7 interviews after that I went to playoffs. So. I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the experience.
Right? My last game was in Van. I don't feel old until I say 20th year. I'm so old until I'm like, I should be going to bed in 30 minutes because I have to coach in the morning.
Yes, probably. I mean, football was great.
It's a lot of crime and a lot of weather.
Yeah, it was severe weather for sure. Okay, that's bad.
Fargo, North Dakota.
I went from Abilene to Eugene to Spokane.
When did you start your career? Like, where you?
It's 2005.
MJ?
Yeah. I was the sports director, so it was like, boom, right out of college, you're Monday through Friday. What's that? Traveling, KRBC. Abilene's first, or Abilene's news or something like that.
You felt like I have to hurry up and get my review.
Yeah, get out of here, get out of here. I'm like, where the heck?
Yeah, so I just gotta.
I see Daryl when we go down. He's amazing. He always brings Legos for the boys. Yeah, he's such a sweet guy.
Big win by our guys tonight, especially coming off the last two losses, and to come back and play a good Phoenix team and beat them at home. Obviously, being down in the first half, the way we were and responding in the second half was huge. I told our guys the thing that I was most excited about is in the first half, I think they had 42 points in the paint, which not good. They're on track for 84 if my math is right, and that's not good. But our guys did a fantastic job in the second half by limiting them to 14 points, so they were more aware of what they were doing to hurt us in the paint. We didn't have as many blow-bys or middle drives, and then we handled the pick and roll in the pocket a little bit better in the second half. And then, also when you play a really good team, you're going to have to try to find a way to win the possession game. And, one of the key factors of that is the turnovers. And for us to play, 48-minute game and have 4 turnovers for 4 points, it was huge, especially with the way that they were capitalizing off of the offensive rebounds that they were getting. So a lot of good performances. HB stepped up, especially late in the game with some big buckets, some big free throws. He made a couple. He made 4 after missing those 2. And then, Kevin was fantastic. Kevin really shot the ball well and got us in a lot of our backside action that we get with him and Domas, and which caused a little confusion from time to time and got some guys some good looks. So really good team win for us, especially with the way that we played in that first half.
Mike, what did you see in that third quarter where things really shifted in your favor? Did it just take a couple buckets to be hit, or was it more of a, Davion was obviously pretty special defensively at certain moments. Where did you kind of see that tide shift?
I really thought our intensity or sense of urgency was a little better, especially defensively. And, we had good looks in the first half. They just didn't go in, but which happens at times. But what really hurt us was their ability to get into the paint, whether it's off the dribble drive and ISO situations off a poor closeout of ours or hitting it big in the pocket in the pick and roll game. And that was a little deflating, and our energy just didn't, or a sense of urgency defensively just didn't look right. And, it took a couple of shots to go in. But more importantly, I thought we started playing with a sense of urgency. And then when the crowd got into it, it really heightened that and got us excited on both ends of the floor to get us over the hump.
Mike, that first half, Kevin said the energy felt weird.
Yeah.
And what did you say to your team at halftime? What to get them started? Because it really did look like a monster shift coming out of the third. And then, if you don't mind, if you have an update on De'Aaron.
I don't have an update on De'Aaron. I know when I saw Monty after the game walking back, he said Foxy really wanted to go back out there, and they had to hold him back, just to, so. But that was the only thing that he said to me. I'm sure we'll get a better update as the night goes along. But basically, the two biggest things that I talked about were we weren't doing a good job physically on the glass. I mean, they were kicking our behind on the glass in that first half, and then second, I felt we weren't doing a good job containing the dribble drive and/or closeouts the right way. They were getting into the middle of our paint and breaking us down defensively. And I told him. I even told him before the game. I said, come playoff time, you got to have a sense of physicality, and we didn't have that in the first half. And I said, just in general, but more importantly when it comes to rebounding, and we didn't have that in the first half. And after reiterating it at halftime, our guys went out there and got it done. So you feel good about that because they responded the right way to the areas that we were suffering the most in.
Mike, you touched on this a little bit, but as you guys are gearing up for the playoffs, so is this crowd, the impact of the crowd on that third quarter run. How significant does that energy that they bring affect that kind of run that you put together?
I mean, it's huge. I've had many opposing coaches tell me throughout the course of the year, not just obviously with tonight's crowd, but throughout the course of the year, that it sounds like a playoff game in here, and they're obviously regular season games. And, it's no different from back in the day. The only thing is they got the one big cowbell at the beginning of the game that they allow the high money people to come ring. Vec might kill me on that one, or Martina. But the cowbells were back in the day right behind the bench, and other than that, the energy is off the charts in this building, and that's what makes this place special, is the fans that come and support us day in and day out.
Coach, in that second half, we saw a lot of HB and Davion on Phoenix's backcourt. Just how much importance was their attention to detail, discipline, and physicality?
Davion can guard almost anybody. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to shut him down, but when Davion's guarding somebody, you're gonna have to work, and Davion brings a sense of physicality to every possession defensively, where he does it with his chest. He does it the right way. And H is a vet that's guarded everybody in this league multiple times, so he's got a good feel for positioning and guys' moves and all those other things. And he's long as well, and so to throw those two guys on Chris Paul and Book was something that we needed to do, because Book was kind of having his way with everybody. I thought Kessler did a nice job on Book too. Again, you're not stopping a guy like that, but to be able to throw multiple bodies at Book to where hopefully he doesn't get a rhythm was necessary, and so we did move those two around a lot in the second half.
Hey, Coach. Kevin said that he's made it an emphasis this season to try and contribute in other ways than shooting, and even said that you've kind of been on him and the guys to improve their rebounding and stuff like that. Tonight he did his, he filled up the stat sheet, had 9 rebounds, that block, and 5 assists. What did you think of his overall performance? And also, I know you talked a little bit about, his shooting, but how important is him contributing in other points of, in other areas, especially down the stretch?
He's 100% correct, and you know we've had a couple of discussions during the course of the year because there were times when he wasn't on the floor at the end of games, and I told him, you know, obviously we know he can all shoot and play make, but we need him and Malik and the rest of our guards to get in there and mix it up and come up with some rebounds. And his ability to rebound tonight was extremely impactful in terms of us getting a win. Obviously, you know, I talked about his shooting and his playmaking, but getting 9 offensive boards was huge. And we need, not that he can get 9 every game, but we need him to stick his nose in the right way every game because we're not a huge team. And, you know, we're not naturally gifted when it comes to that across the board. Domas has a nose for the ball, but other than that, nobody else really does. So we have to do it collectively as a group. And to have a guy like Kevin step up and get 9 rebounds tonight was really, really big.
Mike, were you relieved to hear what Monty had to say about De'Aaron, or is there still some level of concern, just what that might look like in the days ahead?
Yeah, because you know, until I get a quote unquote official report, I mean, there's always concern, you know, in situations like that. But like I said, we'll wait and see what they say, and then kind of go from there. Thank you, guys.